was just having a laugh. Good evening, weary travellers. I am Morris Spooki, here to read you one of my spooky stories from my big book of the Spooki. This story is so frightening, it'll terrify you to the marrow. This week, ghosts. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of ghosts. Perhaps you've seen them in films or at the circus. But have any of you ever seen a real ghost? Or ghosts? Well, in this week's spooky story, we follow the adventures of a young man named Tim, and his encounter with ghostly ghosts, or ghosts. Could there be anything more spooky? Probably not. Tim was 17, but looked old enough to buy an Alco pop in a newsagent. One night at the end of May, Tim was awoken by a strange sound, a sort of woo sound. It's the drains, thought Tim. That sound is probably just running water going down the drain after one of my neighbours was at a twilight pool. And Tim went back to sleep, giving it no more thought. Very foolish. The next night, same. A sort of woo sound awoke Tim at about 1:30 in the morning. It's just the trees, he thought. Just some silly old trees wooing and the wind tickling their leaves under the chin. It's not a problem. And once again, Tim slept like an idiot. The third night, it was the same again, same as before. A woo sound. I can't think what it would be, said Tim. I'll go and investigate. And Tim went downstairs, using his legs. It was very dark until he turned on the light. Then he could see perfectly. And he looked around the sitting room, the kitchen, and the airing cupboard. But he found nothing. He couldn't be bothered to go into the garage. Fatal mistake. He could hear the woo sound using his 2 ears, but he couldn't locate it. This is very spooky, thought Tim. So spooky, it would make a fantastic spooky story. Then Tim went to bed. He never heard the woo again. Neither did anyone else. 63 years later, Tim died. So, what was that woo sound in Tim's house? Could it have been a ghost? Was it mild tinnitus? Or maybe it was something worse. Join me again for another spooky story from my big book of the Spooki. Good night, and don't have nightmares.